What's going on, guys? Thank you for clicking on this video, and today I'm going to answer some of your questions. So for any of you guys who are new to my channel, if you didn't know already, I have been gone for about a month training at Fort Knox, and I've gotten lots and lots of questions and or comments and stuff like that, and just so I don't know, I kind of wanted to make something a little bit different to where I reply to some of these questions in video format rather than just going through and typing things up, because you know, if I answer a question early on in the video, then you guys have a chance to, I guess, read it in the comment section. So because a lot of those videos are about a month old and I haven't had a chance to go through and reply to every single one of them yet, I went through, picked out some questions, and I'm going to answer them right now. So the first question I have here is from Michael. First off, thanks for you know, all the love with the, you know, good job on the videos and stuff like that. Whenever you guys reply that in the or say that in the comments, really makes me feel good. Really makes me motivated to make more videos for you guys, especially when you let me know that these videos are helping you out and stuff like that. So hopefully this video will help out a lot of people because I'll be just, you know, answering questions that you guys have. But basically this question is asking about doing the ROTC program and how competitive it is, and basically what you have to do to commission through the ROTC program. So first off, you do have to go to your classes, you have to go to your labs. So if you don't go to your classes, you don't go to your labs, then you're basically going to fail the classes and you're not going to commission, right? So in order to commission through ROTC, you have to maintain a certain GPA. That might change depending on whether or not you're a STEM major, but you have to do pretty good in school. You don't have to do like amazing, but you got to do pretty good in the school. But as far as anything else, so you're gonna have to do like your advanced camp, which I just went to this past summer. The other camps will be optional depending on if you have prior service experience. This guy doesn't look like he is prior service or anything, but for ROTC, doing your 4 years of the program, you can skip the first 2 years if you are prior service. So if you've gone to basic training in AIT, you don't have to do the first 2 years of ROTC. But other than that, as far as I know, there might be some way to get out of the first year, but you're just gonna have to basically go through all of the classes for the 4 years if you want to do ROTC. So I'll just go ahead and assume that you would have to do that. Other than that, there's this thing called an OML list, which throughout your entire time in the ROTC program, you're going to be doing things, you know, if you have a job or if you do other extracurricular activities, your PT score, your GPA, just your overall, it's just like an average of yourself, goes onto this OML list, and you go in, and that goes into a national list. And whenever you commission, like I'm about to commission, so I'm on the OML list somewhere, I'm ranked somewhere on there, and through that they will pick who is going to get active duty, who's going to get reserves, who's going to get what job, and that's really what it takes to commission. So you go through all the steps, you go through the ROTC program, you go to the classes, you do what you got to do, you go to the camp, the summer camps when you got to do that. It's not really overly that difficult. You just got to do it. You got to graduate college. That's really the most difficult thing, because that's got like the highest dropout rate in it of itself, is just graduating, going through 4 years of college and not quitting halfway in. So yeah, so you go through college, graduate, you get picked up in some branch, and that's really all you got to do with that. The next question here is asking about infantry and whether or not they see any action, whether or not they actually get into any firefights and stuff currently. Right now, this should be a pretty simple answer, but right now we're in like a peacetime technically. We are doing some things overseas where we're getting into fights and firefights and stuff like that, but all in all, it's not really like we're not at war right now. So because of that, there's a very small percentage of people in the military right now who are seeing any action, whatever the action you're talking about. It is a very small percentage. So if you're going special forces, if you're going to be in like the 75th Ranger Regiment, yes, you're going to see something. Like it's a smaller chance that you're not going to if you're in one of those groups. But even if you're just a regular old infantryman, I have came across way more people who are infantry who've gone and done a deployment some of my friends, and they just have sat there and done nothing. They've been in no firefights. They haven't even seen a person to point their weapon at, their rifle. So the answer as of right now, since we are in peacetime, if you join, you're probably not going to see anything for a little bit. Now, on the flip side of that, there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the United States right now where like in Syria and all these places, we definitely very soon could be actually going maybe not to war, but to a more escalated fight where they will bring in the more just basic infantry guys, not just doing special one-off quick missions with SF and trying to develop the country or whatever. We may start using the infantry more in the next coming years, but as of right now, there's a really large percentage of infantry guys that have never seen any kind of action. Now, this is a pretty quick answer to this question, and I kind of want to roll it into something else that I may have mentioned before, but I have a whole lot of new subscribers who don't know what my goals are for this channel. But this guy, Max here, is asking me if I can do a video on the Coast Guard. I would love to do a video on the Coast Guard, but I'm trying the best I can to talk about personal experiences, what I've gone through personally, and then bringing in people who have gone through things that I haven't. So I've brought in my brother so far, and I do have a friend who's a couple years younger than me, who is currently at the Coast Guard basic training right now. So at some point in the future, if he comes home or something, and if he wants to, I'm not gonna try and force anybody to, but if he wants to, I would really like to do a video on the Coast Guard. Now, my grandpa was in the Coast Guard. He was in the Navy and then switched over to the Coast Guard, but that was just a really long time ago, and I don't think that would be very relevant. But it just popped into my head. It actually would be a pretty cool video to talk about, or to talk with my grandpa about what the military, the Navy, and the Coast Guard was like, freaking 50 years ago. That would be a pretty interesting video, honestly. If you want to see it, let me know down in the comment section. But Coast Guard, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines. If I ever come across somebody who wants to do a video, I have buddies in basically every one of those branches, and if I ever have a chance, I will ask. But as of right now, my immediate thing is Army Reserves, active duty, kind of National Guard. So I'm going to stick with what I know, and if I come across somebody who has personal experience, I will definitely try and get them on this channel. So here's another question talking about another branch besides the Army, and I think I can answer this one honestly pretty well because of everybody that I've ever talked to who has anything to do with Marines. People have joined the Army because it is so hard to rank up in the Marines. So this question is basically just asking, how difficult is it to get promotions in the Marines? And from everybody I've ever talked to or heard, it is difficult in the Marines. And the reason for that is there's such a small number of Marines, like actual men and women. Like there's just not that many people, and therefore there's just not as many chances for people to leave. So in the Army, you have a ton of people, and because of that, there's always going to be positions flip-flopping because more people are going to be leaving, more people are going to be joining. There's just a whole lot more movement going on in the Army. The Marines has a whole lot less people, so there's going to be a lot less higher ups that leave. So the higher up you go, those people generally just try to stick in the military for a while, and if let's say as a master gunnery sergeant or something like that in the Marines, if he just tries to stay in, if he doesn't leave, then that next person's not going to get to be promoted. But once that person leaves, then they can get promoted, then everybody else can get promoted. But because of the lack of numbers in the Marines, from what I understand, that's one of the reasons why it's just so hard to get promoted in the Marines. So if you want to get promoted fast, join the Army. And finishing off this video, I'm going to answer one more question because it's kind of getting on the long side a little bit, over 10 minutes or so. But Joseph here is asking me basically coming into basic training, coming into the Army with rank. So instead of coming in as an E1 or even an E2 private, which you can get an E2 private, like guys, if you're joining the military, you should never join as an E1 fuzzy private. You should always come in as an E2 at the minimum. Don't come in as an E1. Because you really it's just a small little bit of things you got to do to become an E2 private. Now, coming in as a PFC or a specialist, you do have to have basically college credits to be as a PFC. So it's essentially kind of like a 2-year associate's degree to come in as a private first class, which is where I was at. And then coming out as a specialist, the only way you can do that is to have a 4-year college degree. So this guy here, he said he's thinking of joining and coming in as a PFC. So what's it like at basic training whenever you have a higher rank than other people? At the time that I joined basic training, it was a time when school was still in. So there weren't as many like young privates. So what I mean by school was still in is high schools. Most high schools around the nation, the United States, were still in, so they're not going to be leaving for basic training yet. So whenever I went, there was a little bit more PFCs and specialists than for most people that are going to be leaving for basic training over the summer when school's out, and there's just going to be a crap ton of just young privates out there. But there's not much of a difference for a PFC. Not much of a difference for a PFC. I'm just going to be straight up honest. I came in as a PFC. The only difference you're really going to see at basic training is when you're a specialist. And this is at the very beginning. So when you're at reception, generally what they're going to do is they're going to assign some specialist to kind of be in charge. And that's just because you're a specialist. So if you leave during the summer and you're the only specialist like in your room, in your platoon or whatever, you're probably going to get a leadership position right off the bat. If you're a PFC, you're not much ahead of an E2 private. So that's why they do that, because you might have some college, but the specialist has got a 4-year degree, so he's the guy that they're going to put in charge. When you get to basic training, the drill sergeants are still going to call you private. They're not going to, if you're an E1, E2, E3, or E4, they're still going to call you private, no matter what. At least from my experience, that's what they said. They don't care. You haven't graduated basic training yet, you're still a private, so they're going to call you a private now. When you do have that specialist shield on, you might get a little bit of difference of treatment just because you are the college graduate. They may talk to you, be like, hey, what school you went to or something like that. But other than that, just at the very beginning, you might get a leadership position just because you are a specialist. Other than that, everything is basically the same. You still get treated like crap. You don't get special treatment or anything like that. The only people that do get treated the most different are prior service guys. So at the very beginning, they'll usually ask when you get to reception, and when you get to basic training, they'll say, who's prior service in here? And there'll be like 1 or 2 guys who are, switching over from the Navy or switching over from the Air Force or something like that, and they're going to basic training. Those guys generally get treated a little bit different. So they're generally older, so they might be the same age as a drill sergeant. So they'll still get treated like crap because at basic training, but it's just not. There might be 1 or 2 situations or something like that where you're at basic training and the drill sergeant, talks to you about your branch or why you decided to join. Just a little bit more of like a human interaction rather than a drill sergeant to private interaction. So that's really the difference with coming in with rank versus no rank. If you come in as an E1 or E2, you're just gonna have to suck it up, because number one, if you came in as an E1, like I said, you should come in as an E2 no matter what. If you guys are about to join, if you've already signed up all your papers and all that stuff, so not much you can do there, but try to come in as an E2. E3, not much of a difference. E4, like I said, just a small difference. Prior service guys have the biggest change, which again, it's not that much because they're still treating everybody. They're trying to treat everybody across the board the same, basically as a bunch of crap. So that's how they're going to try to treat you, and if you get some kind of different treatment, then you might be a little bit lucky for your group. So that's it for this video. I want to do something a little bit different. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Answering these questions in video format. I hope I did okay anyway. So if you did like it, please hit that like button. If you want to see more of these, so if you want to have a question in the comment section and you think it would be a good video topic, or you think maybe I could do another one of these where maybe I answer just like 3 questions or 2 questions and I can go a little bit more in depth on them, leave your comments down below. You can also PM me or DM me. I definitely, so far I've answered every single question that somebody has sent me directly, so feel free to do that. I love helping you guys out. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.